It's our last session, and I'm more excited than I am sad because I believe that if we take the words of the song to heart, our lives would be very, very different. Our lives would not be free of problems. They would not be free of challenges. They would not be free of confusion, but they would be filled with hope, filled with confidence, filled with peace and an assurance that no matter what I am facing, no matter what is ahead of me, I know who stands with me. And so my prayer for you guys this morning as we finish off our last session of this retreat is that we would be reminded once again that our lives can only be built on a foundation that Jesus laid for us. Everything else is faulty. Wealth is inconsistent. Health you cannot rely on. Friends, they may come and they may go. But our God has promised to be Emmanuel, not God at a distance, but God with us. Let's pray, and let's just pray. Hey, Dad, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for choosing us. Thank you for speaking to us. And thank you for being with us. I just love you so much. And I just pray that as we finish off this last session, that your presence would be here even more. And God, as we go out into our homes, as we go back into a different routine, but it'll become our new regular routine, that we would know that we're not going alone, but you are coming with us because you are Emmanuel. We love you and we trust you. So in Jesus' name I pray. Everyone said, amen, amen. Let's give it up for the band. It sounded delightful once again. Let me get one clap. Let me get one clap. Let me get two claps. Let me get two claps. Let me get a Ric Flair. That was good. That was good. Let me get a Ric Flair. Let me get two claps and a Ric Flair. Let me get two claps and a Ric Flair. Awesome. Hey, it's our last day, and I am sad because I've made so many friends. You know, I can't wait to text my little sister and be like, I made so many friends this weekend. You know, I got to hang out with Molly. I bought her a snack at the snack shack, and I got to play basketball with Christian and the rest of the Dallas Mavericks. Porzingis, I don't know where you're at, but you know who you are. You know, I got to see Macy Rainwater in her element, being in charge of everyone. It was just great. You know, like I can't wait to talk to my sister about that. And she'll be like, well, did you play any sports? And I'll say, yeah, I won one game and I lost one game, but it was totally worth it. You know, like I'm just so excited to go home and share with my family what happened. Kayla, I need you to pull your camera out. This is how I'm gonna earn my free Chick-fil-A. I gotta embarrass Jackson and Shelby real quick before. Hey, Philip's siblings. Hey, Jackson, you look good. You look still wearing the hoodie? Appreciate that. Okay. Where's Shelby at? Are you hiding somewhere? Hey, you good? You good? Did you get that? All right, I want my free Chick-fil-A. So we're gonna have a great last session today. This message is gonna be something that's gonna be super practical, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. So I was telling a couple of the teachers this morning that I am sore. Okay, like there are parts of my body that hurt that I was like, yo, you're not supposed to hurt. Like this is new to me, okay? My shoulder hurts. Like when I lift it like this, it's kind of like, hey, stop moving, okay? Like just the front part of my legs hurt. And I'm like, what is happening? It's because I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I haven't gone for a run. I haven't really walked except from my bedroom to my refrigerator. You know, like I haven't done a lot of exercise. And so I remember a couple of years ago, your girl got a little fluffy, okay? She was getting a little chunky. And so I went to my brother and I was like, hey, Kev, listen, I wanna get back in shape. Okay, I wanna start working out again, and I need your help. And so my brother, being the amazing big brother that he is like, dope. Meet me after work in the gym downstairs. And I was like, bet, 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 bet. So I go, I change into my workout clothes or whatever, and he was like, all right, cool. For our warm up, we're gonna run sprints. And I was like, that can't be our warm up because all I can do is run a couple of laps. I can't run sprints as a warm up. He's like, no, we're gonna do that. And so I was like, all right, dope. So we do it. I'm like, actually, it was more like, right? Just like, but I felt like I was moving fast, the fastest I've moved in a while. And then we did a circuit workout. And for those of you that are athletes, you understand what a full body circuit is, okay? So I'm over there, I'm doing the little squats, right? Just killing it. You guys can see how great my form is. So I'm doing squats, right? I'm doing some dumbbell rows, just killing it right there, right? And then I'm doing some like weighted lunges. I'm like, yes, this is me. This is my moment, right? And so I do a couple rounds of the circuit, and at the end of it, I'm like, I'm done. I did so well. I am the greatest athlete of all times. Move out of the way, Serena Williams. Raisa Kubandi is here after one workout, right? And then Kevin's like, time for a bonus round. I was like, but you promised. You promised that if I ran and if I did the circuit, I would be done. He's like, no, bonus round. I was like, okay, bonus round. So my brother is there, a couple of my friends are there, so I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this thing because I am strong and awesome. Okay, so he's like, 6 minutes of core, no breaks. I was like, 6 minutes? That's a long time. Like, that's a lot of minutes to be doing just core workouts. And he's like, no, 6 minutes. I was like, all right, you know what, Bryce, you've got this. I believe in you. Okay, Kevin, what do I have to do? So he's like, all right, I want you to do some regular sit-ups. I was like, easy money, got that. All right, and then I want you to do some leg lifts, easy money, got that. And then he's like, we're gonna do a plank to one side, a plank to this side, a plank to the middle, got it. And at the end of your leg lifts, I want you to hold for 60 seconds, 6 inches off the ground. I was like, got it. So I, easy, right? Then we do the leg lifts, right? So I'm like, easy, all right, dope. And then we start doing the planks, right? And so we do the front plank first, and I'm like, right? And I'm questioning my life. I'm questioning whether I really want to be in shape. Being fluffy is fun, right? Like I feel like a six-pack is overrated. And then he was like, to the left, right? So I'm like, and he's on the side, keep going, keep pushing. I don't need this. I already have a six-pack. And I'm like, everyone hates you. To the right. Yeah. Right, so you need to do this. You need to get in shape. I'm like, Mom and Dad think you were a mistake. That's why they had me. They wanted to try for a winner. All right, Risa, 6 inches off the ground. So while I'm holding my feet 6 inches off the ground, you know how like you have that like muscle like right here? I don't know what this is called. Maybe a health teacher can tell us one day. No, right in the middle. Like these are your abs. What's the thing in the middle? Never mind. Okay, uh, so I'm sitting there. In my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna die here. life. I hate myself. Everything is horrible. And then all of a sudden he says, time. And I sat there drenched in a pool of my sweat and tears. And I was amazed that I was able to finish a workout that I thought was impossible. And the reality of it is that all of us are going to face something and have to endure something that we're gonna think is impossible to endure. And when we get on the other side of this thing, we'll be amazed about how we got to the other side. There's this verse in the book of James. It's found in James chapter 1. James chapter 1. I'm going to flip open my laptop because that's where all my Bible verses are. Oh, I didn't pull it up. I will look at it on my phone. I lied. Yeah, James chapter 1, verses 1 and 2 says this. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature, complete, not lacking anything. So that you may be mature, complete, not lacking anything. I know the Bible was written a long time ago. I think a lot of things are fun, but trials do not sound like fun. Right? Could you imagine your mom is like, hey, guys, for vacation this year, we're going to do something amazing. Okay, I know last year we went to Disney. I know for your senior year, I'm taking you to Dubai. But this year, for your junior year, we're just going to go through some trials. And you're like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to stay home. I want to staycation, right? But James is admonishing us, telling us like, yo, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. The reality of it is that nobody likes a quitter. I have never met somebody that is like, yo, the qualities that I look for in a best friend, the qualities that I look for in a teacher, the qualities that I look for in a partner is somebody that quits for no reason. I love people that are lazy. I love people that lack endurance. I love people that at any moment they're gonna bail on you without notice. Nobody likes a quitter. And the Bible is telling us that, yo, in order for you to be effective, in order for you to grow, in order for you to be mature, you're gonna need perseverance. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is, how do you get this thing that you need? How do you build up perseverance? The first thing that perseverance requires perspective. Perseverance requires perspective. You have to begin to look at things from a different angle. For those of you that are athletes, okay, there's always a time of year called conditioning. And conditioning is that time of year where you question whether or not your coaches even like you. They make you do things that you're like, yo, hold on, you're making me bench press to hit a golf ball? You don't need this to do this. You can tell I'm a great golfer, just like that, right? But you do all of these exercises in order for you to build the strength so that when you're in the game that you have endurance. Your ability to endure is gonna require you to have a different level of perspective. The second thing that perspective requires a crew. You won't be able to make it through your challenges on your own. You're going to need a crew to encourage you. You're going to need a crew to uplift you. You're going to need a crew to remind you of who you are and to let you know that you are not alone. There are going to be a lot of moments in this life where you're going to need to just keep going. When you're studying for finals and you haven't slept in what feels like 400 years and you realize that your hardest final is your last final, it is that moment you need somebody to remind you like, yo, keep pushing through. When you are trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life and you've done all of this stuff with college and you've done all of your applications and you're trying to figure out what your major is in your sophomore year and you're like, yo, I want to quit. I want to give. This is too much for me. You need a crew to remind you of who you are. Perseverance requires a crew. And the last thing is that perseverance requires a process. Perseverance requires a process. It is not something that is built overnight, but it is something that is built over time. You will not become stronger. You will not become faster. You will not become tougher overnight. It requires a process of taking on one challenge at a time and not quitting. Taking on one small right decision at a time and not quitting. Perseverance is something that is built over a process. And there are going to be many challenges that you're going to face in this life, and there are going to be many victories that you're going to have in this life, and there are going to be many moments where the hardest thing to do is not to overcome a challenge or to keep doing the right thing, but it's to fight boredom. It's to fight the mundane. It's to fight the monotonous. And in those moments, you will need perseverance that is built slowly but surely over time. I was thinking about how I wanted to close out our time together, right? Because I think it's been a very special weekend, and I wanted to take a moment to call out a few individuals that during this week I just got a sense from God about you. And here's the deal, right? I was sitting over there during worship, and at the beginning of the weekend, the Lord was like, Bryce, I'm going to speak to you about something in your life. Right? And so I was like, bet. I wonder what it is, you know. And so I was going from service to service, and I was like, I wasn't hearing anything. I wasn't hearing anything from the Lord, and I was like, yo, like, are you gonna speak to me? Because you said you were gonna say something, and I haven't heard anything yet. And so I'm sitting there and praying during worship, and then Miss Strange comes over, and she prays over me. She's praying over me, but she's actually praying for you guys. And in the middle of her prayer, she says something, you know, like whatever it was. I don't want to share it because it's personal. So she says something, and in that moment, God spoke to me, and he was like, Raisa, that's your word. That's something specifically for you. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I forgot that you told me this about myself. And I grew up in a church tradition that the speakers at any moment would be able to look at someone and be like, hey, these are some of the things that I see in you. And so, first person I want to start with is my guy, Asher. All right, I've known him since he was a little 7th grader. Actually, I've known him since he was in 6th grade. And Asher, I talked to your dad a lot about you, and man, you are such a young man with so much character, with so much integrity. There's so much leadership on your life. And the beauty about what God is going to do in and through you is that he's going to do it at his time. So you don't have to fake it, you don't have to pretend, but there's going to come a moment where this whole thing is going to become more real to you than anything else. But I want to let you know that your dad and I are super proud of you. And I know that sometimes you don't feel it, but we love that you continue to make small, right choices. There's another guy, I have to look up his name. I asked Macy for it. There you are. Collins Sullivan. My dude was wearing an Allen Iverson jersey the other day for Squad Wars or Squad Color Wars or Color Squad Wars. Sometimes I feel like I have dyslexia, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Collins, I've watched you this weekend. You were the one team that beat me. I'm not bitter about it. Just, I'll be back and I'll be better. And I'm bringing my big brother. I'm sick of losing. But Collins, there is something about you that makes it easy for people to follow you. I don't know if it's charisma. I don't know if it's integrity. I cannot say what it is, but whatever you decide to do with your life, people will always enjoy following you. And my encouragement to you is to constantly seek to be a man that is easy to follow. Be the kind of person that serves the people that look up to him. There is so much greatness on your life. It's actually kind of intimidating to see. Enjoy the process. There'll be pressure, but you were built for the pressure. You were made for it. Find some people that you can trust, that you can be open and honest with, that don't desire the image of Collins, but the reality of who you are. I hope Macy told me the right name, because otherwise we're fighting after service. Where's Molly at? Where's my soccer star at? There she is. You don't have to change who you are to follow Jesus. Whatever that means to you. So you don't have to hide, you don't have to pretend. Who you are, as you are, he loves you. He's for you, and he's going to use you. And so you may be asking yourself, okay, Raisa, you said something to these specific people. Does God not see me? I don't know a different way to say it, but I think Scripture says it the best. In the book of Isaiah, God describes Israel as the apple of his eye. There's something interesting about the eye, right? Your eyelids are so protective over your eye that it doesn't even trust you with it, right? Like when I move my hand towards my eye, I don't have to tell my eyelids to close. It's like, nope, can't touch it. Right? So that's why for you guys that have contact lenses, you have to train your eyelid to trust you. You're like, listen, I'm doing what's best for you, right? You just let me put this in there. And so God describes his people as the apple of his eye. That he's so intentional about protecting you, it's automatic. That he's aware of you at all times. Song of Solomon, there's a verse in it, it says, with one glance of your eye, you have ravished my heart. With one look of your gaze, you have overwhelmed me. And in that moment, God is declaring to his people, when you just even give me a moment of your attention, my heart explodes with joy and with hope and with excitement. So the question is, does God see you? Well, he sees you enough to count the numbers of hairs on your head. He sees you enough to call you the apple of his eye. He sees you enough to say that he is ravished by just one glance from you. Kennedy, you are in the right place. I don't know what that means for you, but you're in the right place. God is with you in it. And you're going to find the right people. And you don't have to play small. You don't have to I feel like dumb down is the wrong word, but I can't think of another one. You don't have to dumb down who you are to be accepted. You're not too much. You were designed that way. Everything you are is by design, not by mistake. And so when we leave this place, there are going to be moments where we're going to face challenges we don't see coming. There are going to be small challenges, like one day you're going to, wake up and have to turn in a paper by midnight and discover that for some reason Comcast has cut off your Wi-Fi. And then you'll try to call them and they'll say the whole region or the whole city doesn't have Wi-Fi. And you'll be like, God, why have you forsaken me? This is horrible. All right, so there'll be small problems and then there'll be big ones. Those big ones could include sickness. Those big ones could include the betrayal from a friend. Those big ones could include losing a family member. I have no idea what your big trial is going to be. But in the middle of your big trials, in the middle of those unforeseen circumstances, what I would encourage you to do is in moments where you face interference, use it as an opportunity to learn perseverance. Use it as an opportunity to build up muscles that you didn't know were there. God is not using these trials to destroy you, but he's using them as an opportunity to build your strength in ways that you don't understand. For those of you that lift weights, you understand that sometimes your body gets used to your workout routine, so you have to change it up so that your muscles can be developed and new muscles can grow and new strengths can be found. And that's what different trials do. They build up strengths that you didn't know you needed. So that's why you need perspective on them. Going back to the weightlifters, when you max out, it is never wise to max out alone. You always need a spotter. And I think it's incredible that with just knowing that somebody is there with you, you can lift more. You can handle more. And I think that sometimes the reasons why we get so overwhelmed by our trials is because we're trying to face them on our own. And God is saying, invite some people in there. We're going to go back to our verse in Genesis. God created Adam. The whole earth was a vibe. He could eat anything. He was in perfect shape. And God still said it's not good for man to be alone. We were designed from community, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, for community. So I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray over you guys. My hope is that this season, there is one more girl, and I can't remember her name, and that's why I was afraid to call her out, because I'm embarrassed that I can't remember her name. You were on yellow team, and you said hi to me, but I didn't hear you say hi to me, but I heard it when Macy said it. Hallie? Hallie, where you at? I want to look at your face. Oh, there you are, right next to Macy. Macy, I love you. You're the best, man. You make me look good-ish. Yo, Hallie, you are so uniquely gifted. There is something about you that the only phrase that I can think of is that there's the fingerprints of God on you. And the verse that it reminds me of is in Exodus, when all of this stuff is happening with the children of Israel, and all of these signs and wonders are happening. It's just like a random little passage that says, and the finger of God was extended towards them. And what happened in that moment was there was power, there were signs, there were wonders. And I don't think that this is like a call into ministry or anything like that, but I think that there is going to be evidence that God is with you wherever you go. That you'll be one of those people that where you go, if you allow him to, right? This is 100% optional. And as someone who has ran away from God for a lot of my life, right? I understand that the grace that's on my life is optional. I don't have to choose it. I don't have to use it. I don't have to walk in it. In fact, God still loves me if I decide not to use my gifts. So whether or not that you decide to follow God, he hasn't changed his mind about you. But there's something about you that wherever you go, if you allow him to, God's presence will be there. People will be drawn to you. People will share their secrets with you. They'll share their faith, their fears, and their faith with you. And God's going to give you incredible wisdom to give them the right words in the right time. And it's a scary thing, but like I've told to some of the other students that I've spoken to, you were made for it. You were made for it, right? I kind of think about the difference between an iPhone and a hammer, right? I could use my iPhone to nail in a nail, I'm so good with words, to hammer in a nail, but it would damage the phone and get the job done. Or I could use a hammer to nail in a nail, and it wouldn't damage the nail and it won't damage the hammer. And I feel like you are specifically designed to do what seems impossible to others. You'll do it naturally. And as you do it, God's grace is going to be on you. And last but not least, my girl, Macy. Again, I talk to your dad all the time. He's like my hero. Like, I love that guy. He's just, whenever I talk to your dad, I feel like I just talk to my dad. You know, he's like, I'm just so proud of you. I'm like, thanks, Pastor Don. And it's like the middle of a work day. I love that guy. Macy, I love that you're so different from your sisters. I love that your journey of faith is uniquely yours. I love that you don't pretend, that you're so authentically yourself all the time. And I think the beauty of being who you are all the time is that as your relationship with God develops, it's going to be your relationship with God. Nelson Mandela, in one of his poems or speeches, He talks about how our greatest fear is that we have this amazing light. And it's intimidating to carry that kind of light. But when we walk in our light, it frees other people to walk in theirs. And so I think that there's a type of Christianity that is packaged and cookie cutter and just all of the things that people are starting to become less and less attracted to. But your Christianity is going to be authentic and real and beautiful. And as you walk in the light of who you are, other people will be like, I want to get to know that God. So I love you. I'm proud of you. I am your biggest fan. Well, maybe not as big as your dad, but I'm fighting for that #1 spot. So, North Cobb Christian, let's stand together and pray. Let's believe that God's going to do something incredible this year. I'm also believing that God's going to speak to each and every one of you individually. Our verse for the week, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, says, for God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Today we talked about the idea of self-control, the idea of self-discipline, the idea of perseverance. Perseverance requires 3 things. Perseverance requires perspective. Every trial, every challenge we face is not designed to break us, but it's designed to build us in ways that we didn't know we need to be builded. Perseverance requires a crew. You get stronger when you grow together. You need a crew. Perseverance requires a process. Things just take time. And when you face challenges, when you face things that you don't see coming, use it as an opportunity to build perseverance. We're going to face some new challenges this year, and you guys are going to help us as leaders, us as adults, to learn how to be adaptable, to learn how to have fun in moments where things seem inconsistent. You're going to teach us how to be ourselves. And more than anything, you're going to show us what it means to follow Jesus in 2020. It's not going to be the way that we did it. It's not going to be the way that my parents or your parents did it, but it's going to be uniquely yours. And you're going to do it not because you're rebelling against an old system, but because in Isaiah, God declared, behold, I am doing a new thing. Forget the former things. Yes, I am doing a new thing. He declared that he's making ways in the wilderness. So in places where things seemed dead and where there was no life, he is going to make a way. He's going to bring up springs. There's going to be water. There's going to be life. There's going to be beauty. And you guys are going to lead the way in this new thing. Your foundation is not going to be built on rules and regulations and all those other things, but it's going to be built on the only foundation that can stand. And that is the awareness that God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. You're going to build your foundation knowing that you are loved. And because you have been loved well, you will love others well. Let's pray. Dad, thank you so much for an incredible 3 days. Thank you that your presence was here. And I thank you that your presence goes with us. The book of Psalms declares that
15 years ago, the Lord gave North Cobb Christian School this vision of going on an all-school retreat. One of our teachers, we were laughing the other day about the first time I stood in front of our faculty and told them that we were going to be doing this retreat. And after the crazy looks that I received, just like they always do, they jumped in and they made this something super special. We never could have envisioned a year where everybody would be wearing masks and buffs and spread out, and lots of folks are joining us from the live stream. And one good way that I know a lot of folks are joining us from the live stream is because, as Risa called out some folks by name, I want you to know your teachers back home who are worshiping with us were blowing up my phone with how specific and how true those words were. And some of you guys that were sitting out here, like Risa was saying, you didn't. I would encourage you at any time, walk up to one of our faculty and staff and say, hey, what do you see in me? What is God calling out? I shared with your parents a couple of weeks ago, my senior year of high school, my English teacher, Miss Douglas, she was about this size. One day after class, she said, hey, Megan, what are you going to do when you grow up? I knew at that point that I thought I wanted to go into coaching and teaching because a lot of my coaches really made a big investment in my life. She said, you know what, Megan? I really could see you as a high school principal. And I remember thinking that day, who tells a kid that? That's like the weirdest thing ever. Nobody wants to be that. But she spoke that truth over me. And I guarantee you, these faculty and staff, as they pursue this calling God's place in their life, they love to speak those truths over you. And 15 years ago, when we had that very first North Cobb Christian School all-school retreat, we had a very special ninth grader in our midst that day, and that was Mr. Parker Smith, who has led the way for us these last few days. And could I ask you guys, can we show Mr. Smith our appreciation? Yes. Yes. Rice was talking about maybe that anxious feeling you get when your final is coming. Well, Mr. Smith started on staff just about a month ago, and this is his final, this whole retreat. And he has obviously done just amazing. And so I'm so grateful for his leadership. Know that his heart beats for you guys knowing Jesus and growing in him. And so I also want to say, obviously, just a huge thank you to Risa, to Kaylin, and the band. And I was talking to Risa and Kaylin right before this session. It's just such a blessing to see the way that they work together. You can tell their heart for ministry is just so connected, and they're seeking the Lord. I wish y'all could have sat in on the lunch with Mr. Smith and I. We had lunch with Risa and Kaylin a few weeks ago, and they were so humble. How can we serve you guys? Tell us about your students. Tell us about your teachers. And so, guys, as y'all move forward, I hope that y'all be faithful to pray for Risa and Kaylin and the band, particularly at Mount Perrin Church as they're investing there. But awesome opportunities. Can we hear it for Risa and Kaylin and the band? And they brought with them their own very awesome sound guy, Mr. JT. And so thank you. Yes, indeed. Because really, without him, y'all are kind of up a creek, right? He's the magic that makes it happen. Okay, that's good to know. Got to keep that together. I also want to say a huge thanks to Chris West, Chris Baker, Rhonda Anderton, and Miss Norfolk. That's just our fantastic logistics crew behind the scenes. So if anything made sense, they made it make sense. Also to Matt Brown, who's actually over at the middle school retreat, who better be watching our live stream. Michael Humphrey, Tyler Nichols, Matthew Hendricks, so many folks that have helped out on our tech end because we do have a lot of folks that are watching from home, and they couldn't do that without them. Coach Bittner, Coach Sanders for their help, and the color squad, thank y'all so much. They'll be announcing our winners here in just a moment. Coach Speck, entertain, kick. And Mrs. Roop keeping us healthy, keeping us safe. Yes. this back. I could tell you story after story, but God has a plan. So every day that we have the opportunity to be together, we're just going to celebrate that. And so I'm so grateful, whether you're here, whether you're at home. Thank you. Matt Brown did just text me that he is watching the live stream. So points for him, points for him. Hey, we are going to send out a survey. Mr. Smith will send that out next week. I want you to know there have been some really key things we've adjusted. Y'all might notice we didn't do Color Squad Wars in the blazing afternoon heat this year, and a lot of that was just some survey. Thank you. Mr. Smith studied the past year's surveys. There have actually been several things that have been tweaked that have come from that, and I so appreciate his heart for hearing your feedback. Keep in mind, there are some limits with COVID, and then just the word grace in general. But when he sends that survey out, we'd love your thoughtful feedback because now's the time we start planning next year's retreat. But I was so excited. Risa touched on this. Brianna touched on this a little bit earlier. But we're taking it home. A lot of times you go on a retreat and everybody scatters. We're actually going to load up on a bus and go home together so we can encourage each other. So a couple logistics. Mr. Bittner, if you want to come up and start eyeballing your picture here a little bit, feel free. So our lunch times, 9th and 10th graders will eat at 11:30. 11th and 12th graders will eat at 12:20. After you get done eating your lunch, what we need you to do is go over to the basement of the Griffith Hotel and grab your luggage, your pillow, your backpack, or whatever, and you'll bring it. The buses are going to be lined up. The bus in the front is bus number 1. The next bus, any ideas? Bus number 2. Okay, 6 total buses, so the last bus will be 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There may be signs in the windows, but if there's not, you can take it from there. If you can't remember which bus you're on, find someone who has the app. I put it in as an announcement this morning, the link to the spreadsheet with all the buses. When we dismiss from this room, we won't return to it. So we'll kind of push towards the dining hall and then ultimately onto the buses. As you travel, pick up trash. That would be super helpful. Also, Mr. Smith asked me to remind you, if you know where any of the balls or frisbees are or anything that we borrowed from the camp or from North Cobb Christian, just bring them all out to the front of the dining hall. We'll sort out where they go. And then when we get back to school this afternoon, we're going to pull on campus, aiming for between 3:15 and 3:30. We've also notified your parents of that. If you need to pick up any medication, Mrs. Garcia will be out right in front of the school. If you don't see her there, go to the clinic. Those are the only 2 spots to pick up meds. And then on Monday, we will actually have regular school. It will be a lot slower paced than this past Tuesday when we all ran around the school every 5 minutes changing classes. Monday will be a blue day. So here in just a second, we are going to take a group picture exactly really where you are right now because we have to maintain social distancing with our masks and buffs. And after we take our group picture, then Mr. Bittner is going to announce the Color Squad winner. And I'm going to ask, when he announces the Color Squad winner, we're just going to have their 2 senior leaders. Do we have a trophy? Or do you want to give them the stool? What do you think? This is all we have. Do you want the stool? You will receive your Color Squad trophy when we have chapel. So just cheer like crazy from where you are. So I'll make one other announcement after we get done with that. But for right now, if you don't mind, just where you are, go ahead and stand up. Mr. Hendricks, if you don't mind, any more lights we could push where we were. If there's a way, yeah. We have to still skip a seat, but if there's a way to move towards the middle, Mr. Bittner said, please do that. Everybody, mask or buff, that'll be super helpful. While Mr. Bittner is kind of getting that ready, when we dismiss, 9th and 10th graders, just take your stuff and go to the dining hall. Seniors will stay put because we're going to take a senior picture. Juniors, if you don't mind, could I ask junior guys, there's several boxes in the lobby. There are camp t-shirts. Wesley, I just saw you raise your hand, so do you mind if I just make you the boss of grabbing some junior guys? You're the best. Thank you, Wesley. Wesley is our student life teacher cadet, so he's basically the assistant in charge of all of this too. So if he tells you anything, you need to do that. But yeah, if some junior guys under Wesley's direction will make sure the t-shirt boxes get up to the dining hall. Thank you. What do you think, Mr. Bittner? What did we decide, Mr. Hendricks? Are the lights just... I think that's probably good. All right. We were just worried it might wash out the sides would be the only hitch. Yeah, perfect. Hey, you know what, guys? It actually is looking pretty sharp. I know you have your masks on, but if you don't mind, go ahead and smile, please, all right? We can see your smile. You're smiling with your eyes. Maybe put your hands down just so we can see all the faces. That'll be fantastic.
All right, on three, I'm going to take three. 1, 2, 3, 3, and 3.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful group. All right, just grab a seat for a sec. Just grab a seat for a sec. All right, so, Mr. Bittner, color squads.
Yes. All right, 9 teams, a range from 450 points from the bottom score to 1,575 to the top score. What's that? Will no, yes. Any other directions?
Anybody else in the input?
All right. So starting of the best of the least, I'm not sure how we want to say this. With 450 points, Purple Squad. And then tied with Purple Squad at 450 points, the Gray Squad. You're already getting the points up there. All right. Black with 700. Pink with 800. Where are we? Red with 1,050. And somehow that got out of order. Blue with 1,000. All right, and then our top three, I got blue. Third place, green with 1,350. And then a difference of 100 points separating them. In second place, yellow, Orange Squad wins.
Hey, let's hear it one more time for all of our color squads. Awesome job. Hey, and I really have appreciated when Mr. Smith was putting our squads together. We had a huge group of seniors that came last week to help us with the brainstorming. If you're one of those seniors, just give us a shout out. There you go. Thank you. Jonah and some other people came, so... Landon, yes, thank you. There were quite a few folks that were there. Collins, Hallie, Macy, Annika. There were several of y'all that helped out, so thank you. I said Collins. Thank you. But hey, guys, we are going to keep color squad stuff popping up all throughout the year. So if you've got great ideas for color squad things, let me give you Mr. Smith's cell phone number. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Not yet. We'll wait. I'll save that for something else. But hey, at this time, if I could get maybe 4 or 5 adults to go ahead and start heading toward the dining hall, make sure we've masked and buffed up. 9th and 10th graders, 11th and 12th, just stay put a second. 9th and 10th graders, you are dismissed for lunch. Enjoy. Make sure you take all your stuff. We're not coming back down here.
Do I even do it? Keep making excuses.